We're online now?
Yep.
Right, we're online, everyone, so we will just for everyone's record, opening the workshop today on Three Waters, and the floor is yours.
So the presentation today will cover the proposed changes that the Three Waters have put forward. So you can see the presentation, I'll run through it. So if you just go down to the first slide, I'll get into it. We have also have in the long-term plan, we had approximately, I think it was about over 700 line items. So today I'll be just covering the changes that we are putting forward on the annual plan, so not rerunning through the long-term plan. Keep going down. Next slide, next one. So proposed budget additions. This is additional budget we requested. So the first one is wastewater new mains. This is driven through the impact on intensification. So there's a lot of info occurring. So we have a pipe renewal program where we identify that a wastewater pipe needs to be renewed. This funding will allow us to upsize it where it's required. So we're not using renewal funding to increase the size capacity of it. This is essentially money that will come from, be funded from growth. The next one is some additional budgets, 300,000 for a inflow and infiltration reduction program in Waimāero. That's to reduce the amount of water entering the system. CWTP additional polymer plant. So with the result of losing the trickling filters, we have produced a lot more sludge at that plant. This is to reduce the volumes of sludge, which will reduce OPEX costs. Wainui wastewater treatment plant, that's a legacy issue. So we have got a treatment plant in Wainui. We don't own the land. So we either have to procure the land or move the treatment plant. So that funding there is to allow us to do one of those two options that we've worked through. So that's an issue that's been around for quite some time. The urban stormwater detention and treatment facilities. This is again through during intensification. This is 90 million. This will allow us within the city where the opportunity comes to purchase land that can help us to either retain stormwater flows or treat. So in some areas we have approximately 40% impermeable area, but with the intensification that's going up to 70%. So we get a lot more runoff to deal with. So that's what that funding is for. Littleton Harbour wastewater. There's also the major project that they're coming through. This is going through some of the older pump stations to update controls so it all works better together. So we've had it running for about 18 months. Just a few more polishing actions to go there to get it working better. CWTP activated sludge. As you know, we are now underway designing an activated sludge plant to replace trickling filters. We had 115 million in the long-term plan. This additional funding takes us up to what we require to complete that project. Next slide, please.
But it's offset by insurance.
Yeah, offset by insurance, so 55 million off. So there's no, on that line item, there's no impact to rates. Yeah. Proposed rephasing. So this is just rephasing of budgets where we have projects that are either moving faster or some projects that aren't moving as fast. So I'll just go through some key ones there. You see the biogas project is probably the main one. There was I think we had approximately 18 million budget there. So we have a tender. The tender's come back, but substantially a lot more expensive. So we will be doing no works on that project this year. We're going to push it out 1 to 2 years and look to how we can rescope, rephase it to deliver it more efficiently. And there's also some opportunities happening down at the treatment plant now with...
What does the biogas storage do?
So we take the sludge, put in digesters and produces biogas. We use that gas to produce electricity.
This is for the new system that's coming in.
We have...
Current.
No, we read current.
Right.
So the issues with the current one, there's a few capacity issues. So we flare off a lot more we can't use the biogas. We flare quite a bit off. We also have some venting off the top of the digesters.
But it's well, I think where you're getting to, it's transferable to the new system as well. So it's not
Yes.
it's not lost.
No.
It's not thrown out. With
No.
But it doesn't, but delaying it, how does that go with our, or is it still not until the new ones signed off anyway? Would it still be after that? Will it kind of line up?
It'll line up. And so when I talk about the opportunities, obviously we've got a significant project happening down there. I mean, on a wastewater treatment plant site, we carry substantial P&G costs, overhead costs on any project. So if we can bring that into some other projects, we'll lower those costs. So there's some opportunities have arisen.
And when you're flaring, are you making electricity as you flare? Or
No, we're just wasting it.
Can you, I mean, you probably like literally buy them as a package out of China, like a capture unit that would make electricity?
We do produce electricity down there. We've got two combined heat and power engines.
Yeah.
So at the moment, being a natural system, the flow rate out of those digesters of gas goes up and down quite a bit. So what we want to do, we have the engines will capture so much during those peak periods of the bugs producing a lot of gas.
Yeah.
We'll get to store it instead of flaring it off. So it's
How much electricity can you, obviously enough for it to be viable to have the system in place?
Yes. I couldn't tell you obviously with the cost that came in, hence the reason we had a delay in the project. There's quite a long payback period. We're working through that.
It's also, it's an emissions reduction thing as well, right? So it's kind of.
It is. There is obviously where there's some carbon savings by reusing it, and we want to try and be as self-sufficient on that side as possible. Yeah. Just looking, so on the bottom you'll see the activated sludge we're pushing out 16 million. The reason for that is when we set the LTP, obviously we're hoping to have the go earlier than we've been given, so we just will not be able to spend all the money in FY26 that we had there, so we'll push some funding out.
So that keeps rates down?
Well, I suppose it's if with the insurance money coming in, it stays in the bank a bit longer.
Right.
We spend it. Yeah.
So that's part of the insurance money. That's not, because there's additional we've got to add for.
That 29 that Gavin was
On the last slide, there's additional.
Yeah.
But we set there's 55 basically sitting in the bank now for the next.
But that 29, aren't we looking into every government canister because we're reducing our environmental.
Yeah, we have looked at and there's no option at the moment in terms of carbon to any funding.
Okay, so that just makes no sense that the council can reduce its greenhouse gas footprint by half, and there's no funding, yet we'll spend $1 billion on bus lanes and cycleways and do nothing. I mean, you see what I'm.
I don't know, totally do.
Like that, just if you want the public to kind of believe in.
It's not a question for Gavin, though.
Yeah, I know, but why are we? I just can't believe there's not a pot, even like that thing in New Zealand stick on for how those funds. I know it's to plant trees, but this reduces the footprint more than any amount of trees, and trees don't make that much oxygen.
Yeah, anyway. It's the best investment the council will make, and
by far, or any government fund.
Yeah,
it is the biggest bang for buck, and it's going to be funded by the ratepayer. I mean, like if we don't want it, if we want people to just kind of go, oh yeah, climate change is not that big a deal, this is the way to sell
it. Right. Thanks, Aaron.
It makes no sense. But anyway.
I won't go through this approaches, but if there's any up there that you want to ask specifically about, feel free. But that's just again rephasing based on where we are in timelines on those projects.
Suresh has a question, so I didn't see his hand up there. Go, Suresh, all yours.
Sorry, the previous slide, the Waimaero, is it a wastewater treatment plant or pump station?
Wastewater treatment plant.
So that will feed into the main wastewater treatment plant, is it?
It's a standalone wastewater treatment plant in Wainui. Yeah, so and it irrigates to land over there.
Okay, thank you.
Cool.
Okay, so go to the next slides. This is proposed rephasing for stormwater projects. Look, we've had quite a few challenges in the stormwater space in the last couple of years, particularly around consents, which we have a temporary work through to get us going. Some of the largest changes there is on the ORC projects where we've drawn down from programs to get projects underway quicker than planned, particularly around the stop banks. So go to the next slide. We had two actions that came out of the long-term plan. So the first one was around the Port Hills Littleton erosion sediment program that is in place. In the long-term plan, we reduced funding in that area just to we were trying to fit within a funding envelope. The request was to reinstate that funding. So what we've done, we've reinstated it to 1.2 million every year. So in FY 26 and 27, we already have projects in place that are running, so there's no budgets added there. There's we've reinstated to bring it up to 1.2 per annum. Next slide. Second action was around water supply mains and sub-mains renewals. So we were provided an extra $500,000 in the long-term plan to design more main renewals and come back to the annual plan and consult on increasing those budgets. The agreement with what was struck is that we've added requests and budgets for FY 26 and 27. You can see there 25 million additional mains budget and an extra 2 million on sub-mains. And we'll come back in the long-term plan and consult on increasing those budgets further. That was mainly driven around, if you look at a long-term plan, years, I suppose, 8 to 10, then if you look past that, there is quite a peak in funding that's been pushed out there. So then we struck a balance. Next slide. So this is a summary of the capital program, the current capital program. So you can see currently we're looking at 277, then go to 327, 319. So in our capital program, we've got some big projects kicking in probably starting next year and increasing in pace after that. So Waimāero wastewater treatment plant, activated sludge, Selwyn pump station, which is another wastewater project, which is 40 million. Grassmere storage was another wastewater project, which is in excess of 30 million. They all have to be done before 2030. So there's a significant amount of work. So if you go to the next slide, which will be the net change. So that's the net change across the program. Next year's only an increase of 1.8. So overall, it's the biggest changes will come in year 27, 28, 29.
Yeah, so that changes.
Yeah, so in the first slides, we had the new money that came in. So in terms of the increase in funding.
Additional amounts of money, but still getting the same amount of stuff. Is that what that means?
No, so
more stuff for more money.
The more stuff for more money.
Right.
So there's, in the first slide, we had the allowance for increasing the size of wastewater mains, purchasing some land for stormwater treatment. That was in the new budget.
Just checking that.
We'll just stop there real quick. Bridget had a question.
Yeah, so you just listed before some of the massive projects that are happening, which are going to increase the total spend quite a bit over the next, was it like 2 to 3 years? And you made a comment saying they have to be done before 2030. Why?
Consents.
Okay. What's the process if what does that mean if they don't get done before then?
Well, out of the 4 I mentioned, they are consents. It's government funding for housing, so they're providing funding for infrastructure.
Right. So
I've got to meet those timelines, otherwise we're going to get the money.
Got it.
The other 3, we would have to be going to see ECAN to get extensions.
Okay.
And we already have extensions on at least the Waimāero. The activated sludge plant. I mean, that has to be done ASAP because the plant has 0 capacity, and if we lose as a simple thing as a bearing tomorrow, that the odours would be quite substantial.
Yeah.
So Ackro's consent, so we're in hearings in the new year to get that consent. And the other one, which is still one, that's a consent on overflows. So we've agreed that we'll do these projects to reduce the overflows into Heathcote.
Yeah.
So we would have to go to talk to ECAN.
I see.
Yeah.
So they're either super necessary because if they don't happen and disaster strikes, that would be super costly, or it would prolong the process and it would cost more money down the road.
Yeah, it would. I mean, Acro, for example, we have an existing consent that runs out.
Yeah.
So we'd have to get an extension on that consent. And I know council's got at least 2 extensions already on it. So I would be going a third time. Yeah.
No, that's cool. Thank you. Thanks for
Not a-
clarifying.
Is that started, completed, or just started?
So
By 2030?
that's
Did you have to start and
operating.
complete them?
That's us having to shut down the old treatment plant and stop discharging to the harbour.
So construction time is probably 2 years, 2 and a bit years for something like that. So you're talking, you've got to start building by 27 at the
Yeah.
latest.
Yeah, so we're against the clocks running on that, and yeah. Next slide, please. So these are the proposed budgets. So obviously next year is only a minor increase, but there's some jump ups in 27, 28, and also you can see 29. So it is substantial. A question that often will come.
None of these are projected blowouts, eh? These
No.
are installed.
No, and we are on our big projects. We have a lot of rigor around our estimating on the biogas one where we got it wrong. The consultant that did the estimating got it substantially wrong. Like, yeah, we've still having discussions there, but on the other projects we've laid up on our estimating to make sure that it's quite robust. We'll continue to do that. So a lot of questions we get is around how can you jump up from at this year we're doing just over 200. How can you jump up so quickly? Well, with those large projects, the key is to get in construction. We're in construction, the money will be getting spent quite quickly.
So it's getting through the planning stage into the actual.
Yeah. It's currently on the books, we've got 430 projects, either starting or just closing. So if you take out those 4 projects, it's probably more of a challenge for the other, what's left behind, delivering those, because you've got, over 400 smaller projects. That's probably the bigger challenge.
So at the end of 10 years, is our infrastructure in the best condition in the country out of all the major cities or not?
We are in a good position. I believe. We're always going to have renewals to do.
Yeah, absolutely. But with this amount of spend, are we the leader in the middle of the pack or at the back of the pack as far as our water infrastructure goes?
I'm confident to say we're up towards the front somewhere. Whether in the front, I don't know. I mean, but we're not definitely. I've worked in a few places around New Zealand, and I think we're in a good space. There's still plenty to do.
Absolutely. There's a big work program, but as long as we're at the front, not middle or back.
Yeah, I mean, if you take Ackro, so what do we do there? It's going to be a whole new treatment plant. A lot of the network's been, the backbone of the network's been replaced. Substantial investment. So, we've got about 140 million activated sludge at the plant, but the other challenge we've got in the next 6 years is another 80 million being spent. So, there's big programs of work in there. It is
Another 80 at the treatment plant.
Yeah. So the wastewater treatment plant is probably potentially the biggest industrial site in the city. So, and there's a lot of equipment there.
Probably most crucial.
And crucial. And so, and even with
They're
that,
just sucking the best resources out of it because, you'll know Faber and stuff. They've gone and worked on plants in Ireland and all around the world, but are not working on ours.
we have. Yeah, it's a good question. I know for this next phase of work, we've just closed an expression of interest. We've shortlisted 3 large contractors. We had 5 submissions. The activated sludge plant.
Right.
We will look to, obviously, when we get to the point of discussing with the successful contractor, the opportunity to extend that, to maybe do some of that additional 80 million. We are confident we have we will have, I mean, with the shortlist, we've got the best of the country. That's hands down on that. It's a small country, so it's pretty easy to.
Which is the other problem when most councils have got numbers that look like this, you know, comparatively.
Yeah.
Is there enough staff and stock in the country for the type of works we've got going ahead?
We've discussed with the lead contractor the last 12 months, they say they do. Yeah, so I know there are some other large projects around the country, like in Wellington, but yeah, they're telling us that they've got the capacity.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Any other questions from anyone else on that part? No. Okay, cool.
Next slide.
That's the last one.
That's it.
Yeah, it's the last one.
Anything else in closing, or we start with final questions? No, final questions.
This is
Right.
just a bit of a silly thing. But as someone that has no real understanding when it comes to like, you know, through waters and the technicality of these things, when you're throwing around words like, you know, 40 million has been spent on sludge. Like, is there, I'm assuming there's like some pretty easy resources for people to understand why, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
is it accessible to a layperson to understand why, you know, that sort of, why that's important? Because I think for a lot of people.
We need to make a video.
It doesn't
Bridget,
need to be-
no, but no, you've hit the nail on the head, because you're in the industry and you care. And you don't know that we've just reduced our carbon.
Explaining the new treatment plant.
Yeah, and yeah, we need a video that, like a 4 or 5 minute video that every person, because you're
Double Dutch too.
tens,
Yeah,
yeah,
like, and make
tens
it
of millions of dollars.
Yeah, no, I agree, yeah.
And we're halving the council's footprint.
What are your front of camera skills like? Aaron could give you some tips.
Gavin's been exposed to it, he'll be fine.
Well,
we can do that, I
Got
mean,
the video together
it's-
to not be
yeah.
boring is the
Yeah,
key.
but like an overall, this is our network, because I think, like sorry, probably got on.
This is what we had.
But
This is
having
what
people
we've
like
done.
Gavin actually explain that our network is in a good condition and that we're continuing to invest in it is actually really good for the confidence of the city.
Yeah. that is.
So it's explaining it properly that we need, so we should,
And that we're halving our greenhouse gas emissions as a council. We are halving.
yeah.
Like literally, that's like taking over half the population out of their car. It's like, it's an incredible footstep that everyone's just got to just keep flushing the toilet like they used to. And we're suddenly miles ahead because of going to activated sludge, which most people have got no idea what it means. And if this room here doesn't get it and you're already in the industry and got a vested interest, then you can guarantee 99.9% of the population have no idea what it means.
Yeah, so I guess.
That's great. I'm glad you raised it.
Cool, I'm glad there's no such thing as a stupid question. then.
No, that's great, that's really.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Because I think if people don't understand, like, you know, to me, like sludge is such a. There's such a useless-
Ghostbusters or something, yeah.
such a useless connotation, but if actually there was a way for a layperson to understand, you know, what it does and how it will be beneficial, and even even like understanding that if these numbers, when they are public or if they are, to explain that, you know, this is actually this is a standard amount of what is being paid to make sure that we can to make sure our infrastructure is still, on the higher end or on a, you know, it's still in a really good state. So just things like that, I think it's important to get people to understand, so it's not,
Can you say in 2 sentences what activated sludge is?
For the layman, aggravated sludge is a process to treat wastewater to high quality effluent.
high quality effluent.
Yeah.
Now I see,
Yeah, see.
now I need an explanation on effluent. I'm getting it.
I mean, you-
No.
Great. Any other questions from anyone? This has been fantastic. Thank you for the update. I think Sam and a few people have taken some notes around the need for that video,
No.
but if we don't have any other questions, then we can let Gavin go. Fantastic.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much for coming in, and we'll